Hello, everyone, and welcome back to Rob's Movie Reviews. Let me take just a moment, real quick, to remind you that if you like what you're seeing on this channel, please hit the like button and subscribe. Now, this week, I'd like to discuss with you a film that is one of my all-time favorites. It's a 1980 film that stars Christopher Reeve, Jane Seymour, and Christopher Plummer. There's a very interesting backstory to this film, and I'll go into that after a brief review. I'm not going to divulge too many details about this movie because this is one that I would really like to pump up your interest in, and hope that you'll seek it out and watch it because I believe you'll find it just as wonderful as I did. I'm talking about the movie Somewhere in Time, one of the most beautifully written, beautifully told love stories of all time. A wonderful, wonderful film. It stars Christopher Reeve as a playwright. As the film starts out, he's writing a play, or he is producing one of his plays at the university, which he is still currently attending. And at the wrap-up party, when the play is over with, he's letting all the cast know that there were several people there from Broadway that night, and that he'd gotten the word that they felt the show may actually be good enough to go to Broadway. And during the party, he is approached by an elderly woman. She walks up behind him, touches him on the shoulder. When he turns around, the only words she speaks as she places an old, very old antique golden pocket watch into the palm of his hand is, "Come back to me." Then she turns and leaves. Everybody's dumbfounded. Nobody has any idea who she is. Then the film jumps 8 years on down the road, and Reeve's character, Richard Collier, is a very successful playwright, and he's currently involved in writing a play, and he has reached writer's block. He's having a hard time moving forward. He decides to take a little holiday, just get away for a little bit. He gets in his car. He goes driving. He passes the Grand Hotel, which is located on Mackinac Island in Michigan. And something compels him to stop there and spend the night. So he goes inside. He rents him a room. While he's waiting for the cafeteria to open to dine, he goes into the hall of the hotel's room of fame, or room of history, excuse me. And there's all kinds of artifacts, that were there when the hotel was first built. There's all kinds of photographs. That's when he sees the photograph of a beautiful, beautiful woman on the wall, but the nameplate is missing. He inquires from some of the hotel staff and later discovers that her name is Elise McKenna. She was a very famous theatrical actress around the turn of the century. She had actually done a play at the hotel and stayed there for one night in 1912. Richard becomes obsessed with Elise McKenna. He does his research. He finds a photograph of her, one of the last known photographs ever to be taken of her. And when he sees it, and we get to see it at the same time, it's just kind of a shocking moment because you realize the photograph in the magazine of Elise McKenna, the last known photograph taken of her, it's actually the woman that had approached him that night at the university after his play. Richard becomes obsessed with the idea of time travel. He somehow believes that she knows who he is and that they've met somehow before, most likely, and obviously in the past. He becomes obsessed with the idea of time travel. He seeks out one of his professors from when he was at the university that taught theoretical physics. They discuss the possibility of time travel, and I'm really not going to tell you a whole lot more about the movie from that point. I think you can kind of put the pieces together and guess where this is going. The movie does have a very mild science fiction element to it, but only to an extent, more as a means and not an ends. It is, like I said, one of the most brilliant films ever put to film. I absolutely adore this movie. It is based on a novel by Richard Matheson. He is a very prestigious writer, very achieved writer, wrote several episodes of the original Twilight Zone series, has written multiple novels. Uh, he actually based the character Richard Collier, on himself when he was on vacation with his family. They stopped at the Hotel Coronado, I believe is what it's called, just outside San Diego, where in one of the rooms of the hotel and off the main lobby, he saw the photograph of a famous, very famous early 19th century actress by the name of Maud Adams, an absolutely beautiful woman. Richard fell in love with the picture and knew right away what his next project was going to be, because he couldn't help but wonder what it would be like to be able to go back in time and to meet this woman, and which is the basis of the character Richard Collier in Somewhere in Time. Christopher Reeves is brilliant in this movie. This was his first real opportunity after doing Superman to break out of the tough guy superhero role and actually, show his ability as an actor, as a dramatic actor. And boy, did he have ability. He is a wonderful actor. This film shows it. It shows just how multi-leveled he is as an actor. He was brilliant. And pairing him with Jane Seymour was in a very brilliant move. She herself is a tremendous actress, beautiful woman. She can play anything. She's so talented. The two of them, you can just see the chemistry flowing right away. They're just wonderful together. And the special addition to the cast, who was brought on fairly late in the casting process, I believe he actually reached out to the makers of the film instead of being sought out by them, was Christopher Plummer. And when he found out the film was being made and what it was based on, he was fascinated with it. He's a big fan of science fiction, specifically time travel type films. So that drew him in immediately, made him want to be a part of the project. And he brings such a level of sophistication and professionalism to his part. It's unbelievable. The three of them just have so much chemistry. They meld together so well. The book that Richard Matheson wrote that the movie is based on is entitled A Bedtime Return. It's a wonderful book. I have to admit, I have not had the opportunity to read it yet. I've read the cliff notes of it. I want to sit down and read the entire book. There are some relatively major deviations from the book as to what you see in the movie, but not so much that it really changes the overall story. And it's just a great film. The soundtrack, the music for the film was composed by the great John Barry. It's just very, very sad, haunting music that touches your heart as soon as you hear it. And we find out later on, if you watch the special features of the film, that it was the first score he had written since the passing of both of his parents, and all the pain and anguish that he's feeling is portrayed through the music, and it is a perfect complement to the story that's being told in this film. So tragic and sad and really heartbreaking. This film is definitely a tearjerker. If you don't like movies that are going to make you cry, I don't know what to tell you, because this movie, if you don't shed a tear at the end of this movie, there's something wrong with you. This is a wonderful, wonderful, wonderful love story. Very unique. Nothing like it had ever been done before or has been done since. I highly recommend, if you're a fan of a good love story, to seek out Somewhere in Time. You can get it on DVD, Blu-ray. It's available on several of the major streaming services. You really owe it to yourself to watch this movie. I guarantee you will enjoy it. And that's going to wrap up this week's review. Be sure to check back with me next week for another review. And until then, you all take care.